of Marion, Illinois is called a short line in the railroad trade. The CO&E is also one of the few coal-driven, steam-operated trains in the tri-state area. TV3's Dave Wagner takes a look at the cargo service, which serves an 8.5-mile area east and west of Marion.
The Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad got underway about 5 years ago when some Chicago men decided to kick the city life, pool together, and purchase their own railroad in Marion, Illinois. And today, the short line cargo service is beginning to show a profit, interchanging cars with the Missouri Pacific for nationwide delivery while servicing the hauling needs of the Marion area.
It is the only regularly operated steam locomotive in the United States. By that I mean we use it every day in interchange service, hauling commodities, grain from the east end of town, piggyback from the west end of town, lumber, junk from the local junkyard, any number of different items that are shipped by the local shippers.
And I understand you're making money at it now.
Well, little by little, it's like almost like climbing up a rope hand over hand. When we started out, it was all outgo and no income, but as business has built up, we're beginning to show signs of profit, and the future looks real good.
What's the cost as compared to diesel?
Well, this steam locomotive, which is 4,000 plus horsepower, and that is the equivalent to about 2 of the standard-sized diesel locomotives used by the big railroads. In the course of our day's work, we will use approximately 1.5 tons of Southern Illinois coal, which we buy for $30 to $35 a ton. Therefore, our operating cost is about $50 a day for fuel.
Chuck Ream Sr. says it would cost CO&E $300 a day, 6 times as much, to use a diesel-fueled engine. Ream is happy the railroad is starting to show a profit, but he is chagrined because he feels diesel-operated lines, large and small, get better breaks from federal and state agencies to support their rail lines, while their 8.5-mile steam-operated short line doesn't receive the subsidies that the diesel lines do. Meanwhile, Southern Illinois gets to enjoy one of the few commercial steam-operated rail lines in the U.S. today. Dave Wagner, TV3 News, Marion, Illinois.
From Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, and Missouri. This is the 6 o'clock News Beat.
There is some good news tonight for the Crab Orchard Egyptian Railroad. Illinois Governor Thompson today announced a $200,000 grant for the rail system. The money will be used to upgrade the 8-mile stretch of track that runs through parts of Southern Illinois. The money actually goes to the city of Marion and will then be passed on to the railroad. The grant will allow the line to double the capacity and speed of the train.
Here we have a system, a railroad component of transportation that some might consider outmoded, antique, old. But its enterprising owners have found a way to make it useful in the 1980s, in the 1990s, and beyond.
The Crab Orchard Egyptian Railroad is the only steam freight train left in the United States. The system keeps busy making runs throughout the southern part of Illinois.
$1,000 grant to fund a major rehabilitation project for the Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad Company. That grant will be used to upgrade 8.5 miles of track. And the CO&E railroad line currently serves 25 industries in southern Illinois, and railroad shippers will now benefit most from those improvements.
This particular railroad, the Crab Orchard line, is in pretty bad shape as far as the right-of-way, as far as the tracks, the ties, and so on, because the rails and the ties have been there for years and years and not been repaired or replaced. And I think the railroad company, in order to maintain it, needed the help to improve the rails and the ties situation so that they could continue on the service to us.
Illinois, Tennessee, and Missouri. This is the 10 o'clock News Beat.
Utilities turning to coal, other businesses are too. One such example from Illinois Bureau Chief John Snell.
The Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad in Marion is the last link to an era, the only remaining steam-powered freight train in the United States, though the CO&E thinks of itself as the first.
You might consider it a relic, a step back in time, but a growing number of experts believe the steam locomotive is very much a part of the future.
Dean Ken Templemeyer of SIU's College of Engineering and Technology has researchers studying the possibility of converting railroads back to coal.
And there are a number of railroads who are very seriously looking at the feasibility again of coal-fired steam locomotives.
SIU researchers say it's no wonder. In the 1950s, when railroads switched from steam to diesel locomotives, diesel fuel cost about 9 cents a gallon. Today, it's $1.09, twice the cost of coal. CO&E owner Hugh Crane started with steam engines when he bought the railroad in 1973. But sticking with steam has nothing to do with romance.
We can operate all day for what it would cost to just operate 2 hours with a pair of diesel units.
Crane's engine has 4,000 horses, twice that of most diesels, but can operate for only $60 a day. A bottom line even early skeptics couldn't ignore.
Most of our colleagues and people on the railroads that we deal with no longer think it's humorous that we use a steam locomotive. In fact, if we're comparing rates and price structures, most of them feel that we've got a real edge.
Any move back to coal-powered trains would be slow and a cautious business, but what once looked like a relic to the industry is becoming an attractive alternative. John Snell, Newsbeat 6, Marion, Illinois.
Dana Worth, meteorologist Don McNeely, and sports director Randy Ray.
Chinese businessmen were in Marion, Illinois this afternoon to talk about steam locomotives. The group from Red China looked over the operations of the Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad in Marion. It is the only steam rail line in the United States that moves only freight. The Chinese want to sell some of their big steam locomotives here in the United States, but those engines would have to be modified to U.S. specifications. The middleman in the deal said those modifications would be done in Marion. The Chinese locomotives cost around $600,000, about half the cost of a comparable diesel engine.
That are importing oil from overseas to move the coal from your coal mines to its destination. Why not use Williamson County coal to speed that coal onto its destination instead of getting oil from Venezuela?
And Ayers says he expects to have some of the Chinese engines here in the next 6 months.
This is News Center 3, a complete report for Southern Illinois and the tri-state area. And now, News Center 3 with Bonnie Wheeler.
Chinese business people took the high road to Southern Illinois today. Their mission to find out if there would be a market in the U.S. for Chinese-made steam locomotives. As Marcia McBride reports, if the Chinese do decide to do business here, it could be a big boost for both the coal industry and a local railroad.
The Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad is the only commercial railroad in the United States which uses a coal-powered steam locomotive. And that's what the Chinese marketing and business representatives came to see. The 6-member group is exploring the possibility of exporting steam locomotives from its Datong plant to the U.S. Willis Aries hopes to be an agent for the Chinese if they decide to do business here. He says the time has come to put our coal to use instead of depending on mostly foreign diesel fuel.
Why not use Williamson County coal to speed that coal onto its destination instead of getting oil from Venezuela and helping on the deficit problem that we have with overseas trade.
If the Chinese do decide to export their locomotives to the United States, the Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad could be the center for modifying the train's parts to federal standards, and that means new jobs.
Boomerang effect, putting coal miners back to work, if it gets down to that, additional people in the transportation industry being hired or maintained in their job versus being laid off. I imagined you could theoretically say thousands.
The Chinese say it's their custom not to comment on business before anything is settled, and the results of any possible deal with the Crab Orchard and Egyptian Railroad won't be seen for months. But the railroad officials are hopeful that coal-operated steam locomotives will soon be back on track in the United States. From Marion, Marcia McBride, News Center 3.